Welcome everybody, and we're back. House Party 5v5. We've got a Premier League season tournament starting up right now. This is the 4th season. We're in week 1 right now. We've got the Dream Killers on the blue side, and on the red side, we have got Industrious Gaming.
This is hopefully going to be as good of a match as we had with our previous one, a 66-minute epic there. Once again, we will be your shoutcasting duo. I'll be your play-by-play Captain Flowers.
And I'll be the color caster Thunderdome. And we see the instant target ban against Genghis Sean. He is so proficient at playing Thresh. They do not want to give him this champion. He will solo carry the game with it. But Dream Killers answers. They ban Zed away from Hidden Shadow. His name is one of Zed's moves. It's his clutch champion. They also take away Callista from Lord Merc, who is a god of an AD carry. And
the amount
Malphite.
of respect coming out from these teams with all the target bans. They don't even bother banning out the solo QOPs. There's no Darius bans, there's no Fiora bans, there's no Gangplank bans. It's the fact that they're more concerned about shutting out what they know these other guys are good at.
Yeah, the Finn's Malphite, he played this in multiple in-house games that we've casted and seen, and it is insane. This guy is so good at landing those ults. He surprises everybody, even his own team, when he hits multiple men ones, and it just turns the tide of the fight so quick.
LeBlanc and Nidalee going to be those final two bans. The mobility, the burst power, not something that either team wants to deal with, and Braum going to be the first champion locked in onto the side of Dream Killers.
One thing to note, Industrious Gaming on the red side won their promotional tournament game, and they were moved up from the minor league and are now playing in the Premier League this season. And earlier today, Space Age Wizards was another featured team from the minor league who was able to move up through a challenger-style series. And they knocked out the old Premier League team, and so they've secured their spots. I'm excited to see what they can do here.
We'll have to see if they can hang with the big dogs. Zach actually going to be locked in as the jungler here for Industrious. Not a pick that I see too often, but one that I'm excited to see. The range on that elastic slingshot, so powerful, capable of making a ton of early plays.
I hope we see the Poppy. That would just be so fun to watch. It's a very volatile champion. If Poppy gets behind, she does not make an impact on the game. But a fed Poppy, a Poppy with an advantage, is scary. Your team's carries will cry. They will run and hide. Now Genghis Sean playing Braum, we haven't done that yet. A great all-around champion. He can make flash engages throwing down the Glacial Fissure. He can peel for his team, and he can have the stacks procced on multiple targets so you can stun everybody. Everybody becomes a peel bot with Braum on your team.
I definitely like, if they're gonna pick Poppy, Gangplank is a questionable thing to pick it into because Poppy is just really, really good against general champions. I won't even have to go into this explanation. It was just a troll pick. My heart is broken, but I think I'll somehow be able to recover. Shen and Jinx going to be locked into the side of Dream Killers.
Oh, I'm so excited over Jinx. Yes, that wasn't about her passive. Yes, you should be laughing right now because she just tears through these champions, whether they're tanks, whether they're squishies, the turrets. They are just mere pieces of paper for you. She will rip them apart. Jinx is so strong in the late game, early game, and mid game. The only downside is her lack of mobility. That can be made up once you proc the passive or the chain jumpers. But that's why Braum is such a solid choice. He can play defense.
John the Greatest also rocking a 60% win rate on that Jinx in solo queue. Definitely nothing to scoff at, and hopefully we'll be able to see a lot of outplays on him this game. Vayne looking to be what's picked up in response to the Jinx. Jinx not a champion who has the ability to potentially bully out a lot early in lane. Yeah, she can poke you with the rockets, but she doesn't have that all-in trade potential. So that might be the cue for Industrious Gaming to try to go for this hyper carry that they can get out of lane relatively safely.
And Lord Merc is so good at playing AD carry. His positioning in team fights, his auto attack spacing when he's just in lane, whatever, CSing. He's just so proficient at this role. I'm expecting to see a lot of focus in the bottom lane. The Pocket Knife has absurd win percentages in KDAs on Thresh, on Braum, on Alistair, on Janna. It's just, there's so much power coming from both of these teams' bottom lane.
Both bottom lanes definitely came here to rumble. It looks like Lux going to be locked in here onto the side of Dream Killers for that mid laner. That's a champion I personally enjoy seeing in the mid lane. I hate playing against her, but I love seeing her just because of what she can bring to the team, the amount of outplays you can get with the long range that champion offers, with the ability to snipe with that laser from 3,000 units away is so powerful that I'm hoping we're going to see a lot of plays come out of her this game.
And Jinx has a Super Mega Death Rocket that's also a global ultimate. The Fins on Shen, another global ultimate. I call Lux's global, it's not quite global, but it's significantly farther range than anybody on Purple's team. So for all intents and purposes, they have so many ways to impact the map even without being physically present. Again, having teleport, he can be in 2 places at once, be there for the fight, be back to lane to pressure it. Wilson Jones picking up Vi to add a little bit of dive or maybe some heal. Because Victor is going to want to sit back and poke. Picking Vi into him is an excellent choice because of his lack of mobility as well.
I like the fact that they've got both Shen and Vi on the side of this Dreamkiller squad. I also like the fact that Lux has the ability to dish out her burst damage to multiple targets. It's going to be very important because this Vayne comp that we're seeing on the side of Industrious Gaming isn't like the comp that we saw last game on the side of White Lightning. It's not a bunch of supporty style champions trying to make sure that this hyper carry can carry. There's 3 separate late game carries on the side of Industrious Gaming, and Dreamkillers needs to be able to deal with them all effectively.
And that's why they got Wilson Jones. He's a veteran there. He was around for seasons 1 and 2 of House Party. He used to play mid lane at some point, but now he's back in the jungle role. He was the Thunder Ducks captain in Season 2, so we'll see if he can bring a little bit of edge to the Dreamkillers and help them out this time. On the other side, Industrious Gaming, they've played so well through the minor league that their synergy on this team is pretty solid. Having the Zac to go in and dive and reposition people, Victor playing around the zone controls with Gravity Field. I expect Hidden Shadow to succeed on this champion. He is an astounding mid laner and is definitely somebody you do not want to underestimate either.
Gangplank versus Shen in the top lane. A lane that, if Gangplank can get ahead, it's going to be a nightmare for Shen. If Shen can get ahead, it's very hard for Gangplank to be able to farm up effectively and have any sort of impact outside of that farming. But it'll be interesting to see which of those two gets ahead, simply because they're looking to play such different roles as the game goes on. Shen going to be that initiator, that tank for his team, while Gangplank is just going to be looking to delete people.
I could foresee Dreamkillers gets ahead. With Lux and Jinx, they'll be able to out-siege Gangplank. Yeah, he's got the barrels and this very strong wave clear, but he's going to have to put himself in a little bit more dangerous position as well as Hidden Shadow on Victor to get into range to farm the minions. Where Janna, she's got great peel, she's really good at defending her team from a dive, but you don't expect a Jinx or a Lux to go diving anybody anyways. So Janna is pretty much going to be a shield bot in a siege formation, but if the Industrious Gaming squad can get ahead, have Gangplank get so far ahead on Fins that he's able just to chunk him out every time he comes into lane, Gangplank can become oppressive very quickly.
If you're the bot lane of Industrious Gaming, you're also going to have to watch out as this game starts to get rolling, as people start to find those ultimates. Vi, Shen, and Lux are a nightmare for showing up for that 5-man party in the bot lane. Vi's ganks are so powerful once she has 6. Lux can just delete both people at once. And Shen, of course, with Stand United, doesn't even have to go into detail about that one because it's so notorious for wrecking bot laners' days. Lord Merc and the Pocket Knife are going to have to be very careful every time they go for any sort of play in the bot lane to make sure that there's not 1, 2, or even 3 people from Dreamkillers coming down to ruin their time.
They do have the reassurance that 900 will be able to drop the Cannonball Barrage and give them a little bit of support from the top lane, because Gangplank does have a global ultimate to counteract a little bit of that action that we might see bot lane. And we're going to figure out how these teams decide to play it out. Will Gangplank snowball? Will Jinx get to that super hyper excited state and carry the game, or will Lord Merc be able to pull a Gosu? House Party 5v5, we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again. Set your watches for Hype O'Clock and tune your eyes to the screen. It's House Party 5v5's Premier League. Today's matchup going to be between Dream Killers and Industrious Gaming. I'm Captain Flowers.
And I'm Thunderdome. And on the blue side, we got the Dream Killers. In the top lane, the Finns playing the ever-present Ninja Warrior Shen. In the jungle, we got Wilson Jones on his return season. He's a veteran player. Let's see if he can make Vi count. In the mid lane, we've got Strathghost playing his classic arcane mages from a range. 80 carry slot, we've got John the Greatest. Well, he's the greatest, and you're about to get excited over Jinx. There could be a fight, however, we'll get right back to that.
Team's going to find each other in the level 1. The winner's bite, forcing the flash out of Zac. Going to have to go in towards the Dragon Pit, using that elastic slingshot to get himself out. But Dream Killers playing aggro early on, not wanting to back out even the slightest, getting those wards down into the enemy jungle, wanting to keep an eye on where they start, what they're doing, who's going where, and they're just going to be able to back out afterwards.
And we can't forget Genghis-Shan, the backbone of the team, the brawny support, playing Braum. They say the heart is the strongest muscle.
Their opponents on Industrious Gaming going to be 90059 farming it up in the top lane on that Gangplank. Afro the Giant, the big lovable blob in the jungle, going to be rocking that Zac. Hidden Shadow, going to be Victor there in the mid lane, looking to set the pace of this game for his team. Lord Merc on the Vayne, the Hyper Carry, and the Pocket Knife rounding out the squad on support, going to be keeping those other guys alive on the Janna.
And the reason we see the massive invade coming out from Dream Killers early on is because Braum, level 1, so powerful. Jinx, if she can get a reset, is just going to run through and get multiple kills. They have so much lockdown potential between Wilson Jones and Strathghost on their respective champions.
Mid lane, I really like the choice by this Victor, by Hidden Shadow, to go with Cleanse. He's up against Vi, Lux, Shen, and Braum. There's always going to be CC heading his way, and he wants to make sure that he doesn't get picked off early because of it. A wonderful summoner choice coming out from him. Defensive summoners on both mid laners.
Oh man, Strathghost taking so much damage right now. Hidden Shadow just poking him out, using Victor's abusive lane to start the glorious revolution early.
Double jungle being done onto the side of Dream Killers. It's going to be Finns tanking up most of those camps there for Wilson Jones nice and early, just giving him a little bit more of a solid start. It's going to be Finns teleporting back into the lane, having more potions to deal with this Gangplank. He'll be able to play more aggressively and then just heal right back up as compared to Gangplank, who's only got that one potion. Aggression into the bot side from Dream Killers. The Flame Chompers are down, but they're not even going to walk backwards into him. Vayne just tumbling forward. She's got some damage, and Jinx and Braum going to lose out a little bit in that trade.
Now, unfortunately, only John was level 2 for that exchange. If Genghis-Shan was level 2 on Braum, they could have gone for the all-in. He could have thrown out the shield, and protected his carry there. But Finns, smart on the double jungle, as you mentioned earlier, it stops him from getting completely abused in the level 1 scenario where he would become poked out the entire time and zoned off the CS. So trying to keep Shen relevant for when he comes to these bottom or mid lane ganks via Stand United.
90059 shoving that wave in early up top. That is a repercussion of that double jungle. Jinx being taken down very, very low bot side. John the Greatest has to be careful that he doesn't be renamed to John the Dead.
Here comes Wilson!
John to have their way, but Vi showing up bot side. The flash is going to come out. They're going to be able to land that Winter's Bite stun. Vault Breaker's there, but it does not connect. She finds the field goal, but that's not what you want in League of Legends. As the gank ultimately fails, they will be able to burn the flash onto Lord Merc, but that's all they get.
Hey, they get a lot of pressure relieved off of John the Greatest and Genghis-Shan right there, forcing the flash on Lord Merc. He played it smart though. He saved the flash for after she was charging Vault Breaker, noticed which direction Wilson Jones was facing and flashed opposite. Just great mechanical play on Lord Merc's part there. Pocket Knife taking a lot of harass, or giving out, excuse me, a lot of harass.
John the Great is doing what he can to try to stay in lane. He doesn't want to have to go back this early, doesn't want to lose that golden experience he gets from being present for these minions, but at the same point, he's exerting no pressure on his lane. There's no worry on the bot lane for Industrious Gaming right now about the trades that they're going into because they know Jinx can't do anything. Vi shows up bottom once again, but the Condemn is just going to knock her away, and Lord Merc and Pocket Knife just casually walk away from the fight. They have no concern about this. Vi is still here, though. Lord Merc going to have to watch out. She does show back up. Not going to be able to turn that Vault Breaker. A lot of attention being paid to the bot lane by this Dreamkiller's jungler.
Yeah, the bottom lane, John and Genghis have been playing together since they joined House Party to get...
Vault Breaker's out again. The zap is there. Winner's Bite needs one more to connect. They're going to be able to find the stun. The heal is there, but is it going to be enough? The Flame Choppers say no. A rocket from Jinx makes its way onto First Blood. Zac shows up just a little bit late to the party. No party hat for you, as Dreamkillers finds themselves on the board first.
Well, they got their New Year's wish there now that we're going to talk about party hats, and John is ahead. He's got a pretty good CS differential, +8 right now, in comparison to Lord Merc, and he's on Jinx. Once that snowball gets rolling, she does not stop. The trail of destruction will follow behind.
Well played onto the side of Dreamkillers. John doing a great job of staying in lane, making sure he didn't overextend and get caught out by something, and at the same time, well communicated with Wilson Jones, staying around the lane, hanging around. A huge time investment he spent down here, but all worth it because they got the kill.
Even though he is down in CS5, after the Giant did show up late for the counter gank and was not able to meaningfully impact their bottom lane. Conversely, 959 in the top side is putting the hammer down. Finns is down almost 20 CS right now. It is pretty difficult Shen to find farm and find a full HP bar when it comes to Gangplank. He's going to have to choose one or the other.
Definitely struggling in that lane, and it's only going to get worse. Now that Gangplank has that Sheen completed, that means that all farming the back wave of minions amounts to is drop a barrel, press your Q, those minions are gone, and it's just going to be more and more farm coming into that Pirate's coffers as he becomes that mid-game monster that he's capable of becoming.
And into the late game, if he can keep that ship sailing, he'll be able to absolutely chunk out Strathghost or John. Those are some squishy carries, and Gangplank, well, that's his specialty.
Farming just continuing to be the name of the game here into the bot side without the jungler sitting around nearby. John the Greatest and his buddy Genghis Khan just going to be content farming it up here. They're not too worried. They already have the lead. The Winter's Bite poke going to come out onto Vayne, but they're not going to be able to find a whole lot else afterwards. They do, however, want to just keep zoning her away from these minions. They know they're up now. They know that they've got the edge in the lane, and they want to punish it.
Unfortunately, John misstepped and didn't land the auto onto Lord Merc there, who had the Brahms passive on him, the Winner's Bite down. So it wasn't able to start stacking that up, but they zoned him out.
Wilson Jones in the mid lane, the Vault Breaker's there, the preemptive flash from Victor might not be a good thing, the light binding is out, the cleanse is there, Lux doesn't even have to fire the laser, who needs it when you've got damage like that? A hidden shadow is going to fall, that's 2 kills to 0 now, onto the favor of Dreamkiller.
Here comes Zac
in the bot lane, they're looking to respond, Unbreakable, going to block away that tornado, Jonna taking a lot of damage in return, and the blue team is actually winning this one in a 2v3, John the Great is fending off this Vayne, the exhaust is dropped, but Genghis Khan has got to be careful, he's soaking so much damage, but it's not going to be enough if they continue to retaliate.
Here comes Strathghost, he's got the ultimate.
Strathghost bot side, the laser is still ready, the light binding is going to be there, he manages to find some damage onto Jonna, the laser is going to connect, and the pocket knife gets put back in the drawer as Lux finds the 3rd kill of the game for Dreamkillers. By top side, she's looking to make her mark once again. Wilson Jones, can he do it? Shen being forced to flash away, but the Gangplank ultimate is down. Can he turn this fight around?
That's a scary amount of damage.
Yes, as Wilson Jones bites the bullet and bites the dust. Gangplank's burst cannot be underestimated. He's looking to make even more happen.
You stand united, and he pays.
The true damage burn. The Shen is going to drop thanks to that wonderful flash. He knew his damage. He knew what he could do, and Shen drops.
Oh, he didn't use Stand United on Wilson Jones. Why didn't you protect him? He came there, he ganked for you, and you just let him die.
Bane and Janna finding some
Lord
aggro
Merc.
onto Jinx and Braum here into the bot lane. The exhaust has been used. Janna trying to find more off of this. They've got the run down from Victor. They've got the run down from Zach. The Stand United is going to come out now trying to keep these bot laners safe. And this is going to be Dream Killer's likely safely to disengage this when the Winters bite down once again. Shen being forced to taunt away defensively. Jake's under a lot of pressure. The laser trying to follow it up as one more Silver Bolts will not find the kill.
Wow.
The heal keeps John alive, and I guess that's why you call him the greatest.
That, poor Lord Merc, he thought he had that in the bag, and then the last possible second, John pops heal, saves his own skin. Genghis-Khan tried to throw the wall up, but the auto attack was already there. And Wilson Jones fighting for the Scuttle Crab with Strathgos at his back. Unfortunately, Afro the Giant is not around to contest it, so they do have to give it up on the side of Industrious Gaming.
One kill, the difference in this game, but only 100 gold separates the teams. Vaultbreaker not connecting to Janna, timing that tornado very, very well to keep her away. Dragon likely going to be a point of contention between these two here soon. There's been a lot of attention paid to the bot lane, and as soon as that turns into a double kill one way or the other, it's going to translate into a Dragon.
Look at that, 959. Got the blue buff and got the 2 kills top lane. He has his teleport still available to use. His ult is off of cooldown. And the Finns has absolutely no resources to work with. His Stand United's down, teleport's down, Flash is down, he's behind. He's already got his CX doubled. 900 showing you how to play Gangplank right now.
The gank into the mid lane once again. Wilson Jones keeping Strathgos on top of this Victor. They managed to just burst him. 100-0, nothing a Hidden Shadow can do. As the jungler on this blue team shows up really, really big. Vi has 3 assists. She's been a part out of 75% of the kills for Dream Killers. Zach's still 0-0-0. Afro the Giant has to find a way to impact these lanes for his team.
Veteran Wilson showing up huge for the Dream Killers right now. Putting the team on his back, and they're gonna go break some vaults open, get that loot. They don't want the Pirate Gangplank to have it, although he could be their ace in the hole. Industrious Gaming needs to start getting him in on some of these rotations. But Dragon's going down.
Dragon's going to be claimed, and the first tower of the game will be claimed as well. Dream Killer's going to take both of those. 11 minutes in here as Gangplank continues to pressure topside. No answer from Shen, and the story of this game for Industrious Gaming is the top lane.
Yeah, they're going to have to work around Gangplank, but this is exactly where you want your Gangplank to be. You need him to be ahead. He needs to be oppressing the lane. He's going to have Trinity finished relatively soon. He's got 100 CS. He's got the 2 strongest components to Trinity done. He's about to make a lot of ripples in the water. Dream Killer's going to have to play it pretty tightly around him. Otherwise, they might get picked off one by one. Hidden Shadow's going to have a lot of wave clear and poke they need to worry about as well.
Dream Killers does have a small advantage to work with right now. Not anything to write home about. As Zach finally finds the gank he's looking for. Jinx under a lot of pressure. The Victor laser is there, and she gets deleted off the page before Shen can show up to keep her alive. The Finn's doing what he can try, but it's not enough against the power of this Victor burst. Well played. Onto the side of Industrious Gaming. Afro the Giant seeing his opportunity and literally jumping on it.
And he blobs him right back into his team. Gets pretty much just redirected exactly where they want him to go. Sets down the traps, but it's just not enough. Even through the shield from Stand United, he gets burned. So Industrious Gaming gets a 2-for-1 in there.
No, they're
and Afro's
Afro
back at
this time onto Strathgos, but it's going to be Wilson Jones into the middle once again. Victor being initiated onto, but the Monsoon from Janna turns the fight around. The laser comes out. Zach once more, but the follow-up is not quite there. The rest of the team going to have to back up from this one. Nothing ends up being happening. However, a lot of ults get blown.
The Hidden Shadow was able to get his splash off in between the stun time. Oh, hold on, Afro going low. He was able to get his flash off in between the stun time and the travel time for Strathgos' laser and for Genghis-Khan's Fisher. And he didn't take the knockup, and he didn't take the massive burst damage.
Gangplank looking for the rotation, but Shen and Lux going to stop that one. They're not able to catch up to him. Those barrels going to keep him plenty hasted to get to safety. They don't want him being a part of these fights. As soon as Gangplank finds his way into the fights, Industrious is going to find their chance to take control in this game. The gold, dead even.
Look at John, though, pushing that bottom lane out, creating more map pressure to counteract the fact that red side, Industrious Gaming, has got top lane on lockdown.
Yeah, if you look at every other lane in the game, mid, AD carry, jungle, everyone's so close in terms of farm, and then Gangplank has double what Shen's working with, and it's just obvious where the big difference between the teams is showing up at.
Industrious Gaming going to play out the top side of the map. Once Finn's overextends, if he doesn't have his global ultimates, he could be easily punished. As well as their team in the siege position for Dreamkillers is greatly weakened without Stand United.
Might have
Genghis
a
just
DC.
standing there.
Yep, looks like we are going to have a DC on the part of Dreamkillers. It will be Genghis Khan. Hopefully he manages to reconnect and get out of there before he gets brought down.
That could be really disastrous for Dreamkillers, giving up that extra gold, even if it is off of a technical mishap as this. They will probably show him a little gentleman's code and let him walk off.
Yeah, Braum going to be able to escape from that one, but with a low HP bar, they're not going to be able to contest anything for the time being. This might be where we see Industrious Gaming looking to claim their second turret of the game, apply a little pressure here in the mid lanes.
But Finns might be able to get another turret in the pockets of Dreamkillers. He's got both his tellies back, or Stand United's up in about 10 seconds. Gangplank, however, 959 has got his, but he is very late to respond. He could have walked up there, teleported back to the team, or teleported up there and ulted to help his team out, but he's caught in this no man's land, and the Pirates getting no gains.
Pirates like the oceans, they don't like the rivers, and Gangplank cannot find his way to shore at this point. He's going to have to walk around through here, and he might get caught out. It's going to be Vi trying to find the ball breaker. She's got the Unbreakable Force on towards the Gangplank, having to flash away from that one. A lot of resources being used by Dreamkillers as Gangplank's dream stays alive thanks to a flash.
It didn't look like they were able to kill his dreams there. However, 900 not backing down.
Victor, so much damage down on the Jinx. Stand United going to be able to keep her alive for the time being. The Chaos Storm is down into the middle of 4. Shenton is not going to connect onto the intended target, but no one has died yet.
John came so close to death, he almost tasted it. They're sieging down the mid right now. Red team, Industrious Gaming, definitely has the advantage. Hidden Shadow has blue buff on Victor. That death laser is going to send some people to the grave.
On towards Lux, the barrier and flash both being forced out. Zac doesn't find a kill there, but when you get both summoners out of the enemy mid laner like that, it's definitely a huge win for your team. Just going to be trying to use that final spark to clear the minions away, but she misses 4 of them. The Gangplank barrel's nearly killing Vi as Hidden Shadow takes Wilson Jones out with the fadeaway.
We see a 1v1 down here. Lord Mert putting a lot of split pressure on. Picked up a solid amount of gold for his pocket. He doesn't have any kills or assists, but is up about 14 CS on John right now.
The big issue for Lord Merc is the fact that he's got 2,800 gold sitting on him. That's 2,800 gold you don't actually have in items. He did just go back and buy with those. And now that he has Blade of the Ruined King, if these AD carries both go bottom and Jinx isn't sitting on top of a turret, she's just going to die. Vayne will straight up 1v1 kill her, and there's not going to be a lot Jinx can do about it. So they're going to have to be very aware of that, and Dreamkillers is going to have to make sure that's not a situation that they force John into.
Yeah, and John could get Flame Chomper down and have Vayne tumble into it, but that's very unlikely based on Lord Merc's abilities of positioning. Not to say anything bad about John, it's just Vayne's the better champion for 1v1 scenarios, and he's good at the champion, so
oh,
gonna
absolutely.
expect that to happen.
It's a matchup that the Jinx player has to count on the Vayne player misplaying in order to win, and that's not the kind of situation you ever want to force on yourself. You don't want to count on them being bad. You want to count on you being good.
Shadow.
Speaking of good, almost Living Shadow being deleted 100-0 by Strathagos, finding that combo.
Oh,
and John
there's the ultimate for John! He gets the
connect under the turret. That is going to be a finish as the second dragon of the game goes over to Dreamkillers.
That was absolutely beautiful. Let's just take a moment of silence for Hidden Shadow. Okay, and we're back. Dreamkillers getting there.
Dreamkillers takes their second turret of the game, almost tying that up. They're still down about 1,500 gold, though, despite finding that kill, despite finding that turret. It's the fact that there's more objectives in terms of turrets on the side of Industrious Gaming. There's more farm to work with, especially in that top lane. They're still ahead in terms of money.
And Gangplank looking like he's going to rush an Infinity Edge or Bloodthirster here. He could turn the Longsword into the Vamp Scepter, or he could just be picking it up for a little extra damage for the money he's got. Because he's a pretty wealthy pirate. He's got extra things to throw around. He ain't afraid of spending no coins either.
If you look at the difference between the itemization on these two top laners, The fact that Gangplank has a Trinity Force and a BF Sword, Shen's still working on the pieces of a Sunfire Cape. The difference between these two is phenomenal, and Gangplank did a wonderful job in the laning phase, making sure he's so much more useful to his team than his counterpart.
959 has 7,400 gold. The Finns, 4,700. He's down 3,000 gold on that one member. The only reason Industrious Gaming has a gold lead right now is those turrets and 959. He's amassed such an advantage just purely from the laning phase, and he wants some more.
Showing up topside just to scare that Shen away, and here is the potential 1v1, and I say that with quotation marks that y'all can't quite see, with the Jinx in the Vayne. They're setting the Jinx up in the bot side Dream Killers, and then trying to wait for Vayne to take the bait as Genghis and Vi collapse.
The Winter's Bite is down.
That Winter's Bite onto Vayne. The Blade of the Rune King being popped. The Zap not going to be able to connect. Well sidestepped by Lord Merc. As he gets away, he doesn't take the bait, and he keeps himself alive.
That's a smart call, knowing there's no reason a support would ever try to 1v1 me as a Vayne. So just great awareness, knows that, hey, he's probably got some friends right around the corner, I don't need to fall prey to any of this trap. So plays it safe, they get out. Dreamkiller's not able to capitalize on it, but Finns is now safe farming near his turret, but they do lose the map presence because of it. Not to discount his teleports or anything, it's just that they know where he is, and Industrious Gaming is going to be able to make the initiating or the aggressive moves, and Dreamkillers is going to have to react.
90059 with this aggressive itemization, all these glass cannon items that Gangplank loves to build, making it so he farms so quickly. He's sitting on 40 CS up over the closest other champions in the game, and it's only going to continue to grow like that as he continues to one-shot these minion waves.
That's just obscene. Well, if you can ever one-shot a minion wave, and Red Team has a lot of that. Hidden Shadow on Victor, he can use a death rate, clear the waves. 90059, I think that sounds a lot better because 959 is a 3-digit number and he's got 5. So 90059 is able to wave clear with the barrels, as you just stated, giving Industrious Gaming the ability to make the rotations on the map quicker, and Dreamkillers is going to have to respond preemptively to these rotations to react to the lane pressure, because if they try to clear it and then rotate, they are always going to be late to the fights, and they're going to be a man down because of it.
Strathagos being now sent to answer the Vayne split push in the bot lane. They know that they don't want John down there, because unless they can commit a couple people to waiting in the wings for Vayne to try to jump on that, he won't be able to hold his own in the 1v1, so they have to send someone else, and it looks like Wilson Jones going to be the answer for this Vayne now. But Zach might be within range to make something happen for that fight. Vayne also having the ability to outplay this in the 1v1 on their own.
And I like seeing Industrious Gaming develop in a split push strategy, because Gangplank is so far ahead, nobody on Dreamkillers can one-on-one him. And Lord Merc in Vayne is one of the most well-suited 1v1 champions.
By going in hard, the Lux Laser going to try to connect, but they're not going to be able to land that quite yet. The heal is there. Shen showing up now with the Stand United, and it's going to be Dreamkillers killing off Vayne's Dream, picking her off the 6th kill of the game for their team.
They're making a symphony over here, just one note right after the other, and they're just matching up perfectly. They've got this crowd control. Unfortunately, the laser was dodged because it was mistimed just by milliseconds, but they still come up with the kill. They get the rotation, and now they're punishing 50059 as well for misstep.
A little bit of a light binding going to find its way onto him. However, that removed Scurvy going to be able to deal with that very effectively, and what should be a catch on any other champion turns into Gangplank just casually walking away, going back to farming, going back to the safety of his team, as Dreamkillers might look to put a little bit of damage onto this turret, except for the fact that Victor's laser is not going to allow that.
And they can't, on Dreamkillers, they're not even able to use John's champion to its full potential. You can't use a turret-pushing champion if the other team is wave clearing. You'll just never get to turret range. And Industrious Gaming playing that strength out very powerfully against the Dreamkillers right now. However, John will be able to start cutting through these tanks once he gets Phantom Dancer and Last Whisper finished.
A lot of long-range potential on both of these mages, obviously more so on Lux, but Victor's laser also having a deceptively long range if it touches you just at the very end of that beam. And the fact that both of these AD carries are relatively short range unless Jinx goes into that rocket mode, They're not going to be able to get away from that if they misstep. Jinx also having no mobility. Should she find herself caught out, Victor is going to remove her from the team fight almost immediately.
That's why you got Wilson Jones going for the backline on Vi. He's going to dive in, vault break, try to slam Victor down and stop him before he can even get that initial burst combo. However, Hidden Shadow does have Cleanse, and he will be able to get out of some forms of crowd control, such as Lux's Light Binding, or the stun coming off of Genghis-Shan on Braum.
I really like the itemization choice on Wilson Jones. He went with that early Warrior Enchantment. He's got the extra armor pen, the extra damage, the extra cooldowns to make it so when he gets on top of someone, they have to respect the damage. But after that, he's going tanky. He wants to make sure that when he initiates onto his target, he's not blown up immediately. And I think it's a very solid choice. As Zach looking to find
here goes Afro.
Onto the Lux. He's onto the Jinx as well. Into the backstop now, on towards everyone. As Dream Killers look to potentially have their dreams killed here. But a wonderful response laser from Lux is going to be
Here comes the reset.
Slam Bane right into the ground. Gangplank having to run for his life.
That's
two kills so far. Over for 0. Victor now running for his life, but Vi on top. The Zap connect. A laser in response. Brings down 2. It's going to be a 3-4-2 so far. It's going to be Gangplank looking to clean this up, but the mop and bucket gets turned on him. That's going to be a 2-for-4 as Dream Killers shows up big.
And Afro get the steal, though. They have to be careful. Dream Killers do not have a smite in this scenario. Afro's is off of cooldown. He can leave it. Oh, but Strathghost gets him with the light
binding connects onto Zach. She has to wait patiently for all the blobs to get into the same spot. They're not going to be able to finish it off. The light binding connects onto 2. Vi now wants to find this kill, but she's out of mana. The laser is there. One more auto's going to do it, and Wilson Jones completes the late ace.
There they go. Dream Killers playing out their team comp to so much of their potential. Braum, or Genghis-Shan, gets a huge Glacial Fissure across 4 of the members, in line with Strathghost lining up his ultimate. They start to get the chase. They get 1 reset. John gets excited. He starts chasing kills. However, Hidden Shadow knows this. He turns the laser on him, completely melts Jinx down, picks up a kill for himself. Unfortunately, he gets picked off at the end, and Dream Killers gets the Dragon objective off the back of a great team fight, even though they were the ones initially engaged upon.
It looked like a wonderful engage onto the side of Industrious. Zach found his way into the back line. He was bouncing around on everyone, doing a lot of disruption, but a wonderful final spark comes out from Strathghost, hits multiple members, and really just turns the pacing of the fight around as everyone on the side of Industrious realizes that they're suddenly missing a huge bit of their health bar, and they have to turn around, go the other way, and it's then on Dream Killers to make the fight their own. Victor did a wonderful job, though, of turning around as he was caught, dropping that laser, and picking up 2.
Both blue buffs going over the respective mid laners on each side. Gotta get them with full mana pools so they can keep dishing out this long-range damage.
The Finn's a taunt on towards Janna. It's going to be Vi into the backdrop. The Lux laser follows up. Strathghost is unstoppable. Zach trying to find his way out of this one. The gravity field trying to cover his escape. Needing to use that ultimate defensively. Vi breaking through the vault, breaking through the wall, looking to get a little bit more. And Dream Killers is now in control.
That's what I'm talking about. Using these global... Ooh, that rocket was so close. Using these global ultimates after the stuns have been layered on. Strathghost gets a pick.
Gangplank ultimate being used to clear out the wave. They have to be careful here. They're trying to find some sort of damage onto Dream Killers. Despite the fact that this game is 12-6, the gold is still dead even. Industrious is nowhere near out of this. They just have to find their window.
And they've got the potential to burst someone down. Victor and Gangplank have such strong bursts just out of nowhere. You can stack the barrel, have the lasers run through them, and it catches people off guard because of how quickly it can happen. And Industrious Gaming, like you said, needs to find the window in which they can do this, but they need to pick up the ward game. Wilson Jones and Genghis-Shan are lighting up the jungle, and they always know where Industrious Gaming is, and they're able to make the moves safer. Whereas Industrious Gaming's kind of walking through a dimly lit alley when they go to their jungle.
Gangplank has extended his CS lead to 50 over the next closest person, which is his own 80 carry, and then 60 over anyone onto the side of Dream Killers. He's got Infinity Edge completed. He's starting to become that 1-2 shot threat. If he lands a barrel into an enchanted auto attack with his passive onto one of these 2 carries on the side of Dream Killers, if that barrel's a crit, that carry is dead.
And even if it doesn't kill them 100 to nothing or 80 to nothing, they will be completely removed from that fight. They won't be able to get anywhere near it with Afro zoning them off, jumping in on Zach, or just the fact that they could be caught by a stray laser.
Dream Killers doing what they can to clear out this Baron pit, making Industrious very, very aware of the fact that Baron could be what's pressured next. Shen doing a wonderful job of doing what Shen does, splitting to the other end of the map, creating pressure, just simply due to the fact that he can always find his way into the middle of the fight. The Finns, aware of what his job needs to be, even this far behind.
Yeah, he's playing it great. You can't get down on yourself. You start losing lane because they have a better matchup. You've got to be there for your team. You have to look through other windows to create pressure. You have to be focusing on the map when you're Shen.
Zach
he's
finding
doing
initiation, the damage onto Jinx. The Stand United being there for what it can be to keep her alive. It's going to be the counter initiation. Zach is the target, but that's not who you want to skill out on. Dream Killers is going to lose their jungler. They're going to lose their top laner. Their support drops very, very low as Zach keeps himself alive thanks to Janna. It's Gangplank looking to make more out of this, but he has to be careful. It's going to be John, proven to be the greatest once again, 90059.
There's the reset.
Zach over the wall. He's going to find the initiation onto Jinx. Does he have the passive to keep himself alive? The answer is no, as Dream Killers ends up grabbing a double kill on their mid laner, a 2 for 3 overall. Another fight turned on its head thanks to this blue team coordination.
That synergy is so clutch. Jumping in to protect their carries when they can, knowing when the member who's being targeted needs to flash out. They flash out. Everyone else sets up like a wall of defense around them. John playing that perfectly. He baited it in, whether intentionally or not. Just able to respond so quickly to the outside influences, as well as Gangashan jumping in to protect his carries. Finns saving John initially, letting him save his flash for later on in the fight where it pays off.
That's the second time this game we've seen Afro the Giant find his way into the back lines, find his way onto a value target, and find his way into what seems to be an Industrious Gaming win. But then they don't have that level of coordination that we're seeing on Dream Killers. Dream Killers managing to turn these fights around time after time as Industrious gets just a little too overzealous.
At least they're committing to it, though. It doesn't seem to be a communication issue, where you see a lot of these teams, well, not a lot of our teams, because they practice with each other a lot more. However, it usually is a cohesive issue in terms of, do we follow this call or not?
Gangplank finding a lot of damage onto Jinx. The Victor with the flash laser going to be able to finish her off. The Death Daughter doing enough to bring her down low as Dream Killers is once again on their back feet trying to survive. Shen into the pit, but the Finns manages to get himself away for the time being. It's going to be an Industrious Gaming Dragon, unless the Lux Laser can say anything about it. By into the pit now, it's going to be Wilson Jones. He's the target of the aggro. The Condemn into the wall, being forced to flash over it. Gangplank wants more blood, but there's none to be found. It's going to be Dream Killers losing their AD carry, losing the Dragon, and Industrious Gaming finally comes up big.
And they used their great window of opportunity there. They saw Stratos was pretty low, so they assumed he was basing. They ended up catching out John, and Hidden Shadow, amazing recognition. Able to flash forward, get the Death Ray, and just picking off that key target.
Pings coming out onto Baron from both sides. It's going to be Dream Killers. Can they find the damage here? They're going to find the light binding onto 2. They're going to find the fire initiation. 2 deaths so far for 1. Lux manages to take down the Zac as well, but the passive has been popped. Gangplank wants this Shin. Can the Finns get away? Gangplank's flash says no. That's going to be a double kill onto Lux. It's a 2 for 4 so far. Gangplank, the last remaining member of Industrious. Jinx on the hunt. John the Greatest. Can he find him? He's not even worried about that barrel. He doesn't have to
watch
get in
out
the
for the barrel trap.
As Gangplank is a target dummy for what Jinx is looking to accomplish as Dream Killers finds the ace.
They might be able to translate that to Baron. They've got Braum for the initial shield. Strath goes, he's got the extra shield coming out from, what is it, Prismatic Barrier. John's gonna be able to tear through this Baron with the auto attack speed buff from the switcheroo. And there's no one to contest it from Industrious Gaming after they lose that fight.
Baron sometimes wins games. More often than not, it throws them. And that's what we just saw happen from Industrious Gaming. They thought they were going to be able to find their edge that they were looking for, but a wonderful fight coming out from Dream Killers. Lux started off beautifully with a double light binding, Vi with the follow-up, and they just made everything happen. Well played by Dream Killers, capitalizing on the enemy's overextension yet again.
And they're playing to the power of Strath on Lux so efficiently. They're starting the fights before he's in range, but due to her extremely long ranges, the Finns and Wilson Jones were able to dive on the targets. As they were locking them down, the targets are like, oh, it's just these two guys diving us, so they start fighting them, then all of a sudden, boom, light bindings, loosened singularities, and final sparks, and your team is just gone. And it's just, he's just doing it from the fog of war too. He's so far back that no one can get to him. He's got his own protection built into the kit, and they're playing around it beautifully.
One issue with running this triple threat comp, this triple carry comp that we're seeing on the side of Industrious Gaming is you're not nearly as beefy. They've got one big beefy dude, and it's Zach. And Zach's the only one who can survive this laser onslaught from Lux. As he finds her into the backdrop right here, the Gangplank ultimate is going to be dropped. It's going to be Vayne. Now taunted by the Shen. Can Vi find the follow-up damage? The Monsoon says no. She wants to get the ultimate down, but she's now in the middle of everyone. That's not where she wants to be, but the Lux laser final spark does not connect onto Vayne. It's going to be Zach dropping first one in this fight. Both junglers are down now. Gangplank, the target of this Dreamkiller's aggression. He will be the next one to fall. Strathagos, legendary in this game. Somebody write a song about the legend, because he is taking over 10-0 on this Lux. The zap comes out,
and then the flash zap.
But Dreamkillers wins another fight. They take a second tier turret bottom lane, and they're pressuring in him.
That's going to be a base turret. They've got 30 seconds on Gangplank, 15 on Afro. They're going to tank it up. This is the advantage of having two beefy frontliners. You don't need to have a triple threat composition as long as your frontline is alive. And John just going absolutely ham
into a Lux laser is going to bring a hidden shadow down from pretty much full HP into nothing. The power on these carries for the side of Dreamkillers is so immense right now that there's no way that this team on Industrious can deal with it with these carries. They just don't have the tank ability.
And Dreamkillers just exponentially put themselves on the map. They're now up 7k gold. They were even for the most part of it, but now look at the objectives. They're 3 turrets up. They're 2 dragons up. They had a Baron under their belt as well. They've got the inhibitor, whereas they as an Industrious Gaming has yet to crack the tier 2 turret line.
Gangplank now also sitting on 3 items. That is going to be the saving grace for Industrious Gaming. Can this Gangplank get big enough to just carry the game?
It could be possible. They keep putting him in these push scenarios. He will be able to one-on-one anybody. But that opens up Finns to push the other side of the map, and it leaves a 4-on-4 in the mid lane, where I believe Strathus will be able to poke them and zone them off better than Victor would be able to do it. He can wave clear more efficiently because of the Death Phaser, but he's closer range, so it puts Red Team's 4v4 at a disadvantage because of slight positional error could mean an ace for them. With the Finns having Stand United and teleport off a cooldown, he will be able to get to the team way quicker than 90059 can. Even if he does drop the Cannonball Barrage, he has to wait for the teleport channel.
Strathagos, 11-0-9 on this Lux. No deaths to speak of yet, and he's been a part of all but 3 of his team's kills. Definitely MVP material here on this mid laner, showing just how powerful the champion can be if the enemy doesn't have a way on top of her. Yeah, they've got Zach, but where's the follow-up?
Well, they're lacking the follow-up. If they are able to get a gravity field in and lock down a key member, that would be great. But Afro on Zach inevitably will push targets away from each other. That's what his ultimate does. The blob pushes them apart from the radius, whereas Gravity Field wants to contain people inside of it. So there's a little bit of anti-synergy that they're going to have to work around there.
Dreamkillers takes down their 7th turret of the game. They've already broken the base into the bot side. They're wanting to do the same thing in top. They have to respect the Victor clear, but at the same time, it's definitely going to be Industrious trying to see what they can do to defend this. Will they be able to pull off a White Lightning? We'll have to see, but it's going to be hard against this Lux.
And look at that note there, John.
He's only going to find Shen. The Gangplank ultimate is down. The Death's Daughter lands its way onto Jinx, but she's into the backdrop now. She's got the heal off. The Zap is there. Vi trying to find the damage on towards Zach. He is the target of their aggression, but Vi dropping very, very quickly as well. Jinx needs one more rocket. She's going to be able to find it, but Victor
the heal over the wall.
John,
is it
and
enough?
That's the kill that they're going to need. Zach's passive has been popped. He will still be alive unless Lux has something to say about it. She is not going to be able to connect onto that. The laser not zeroing in on those bloblets correctly. It will take Victor and Zach both almost down to nothing, but this isn't horseshoes. This isn't hand hand grenades. This is League of Legends, and Shen now finds the taunt on towards Gangplank.
And he gets comboed!
For the time being, but Vayne is in the backdrop in the middle of everyone. Strathghost says, no, thank you, sir. The Finns going to pick up the credit for that kill as Lord Merc goes down.
The instant pink ward drop from, who is it from? Gangashan. Absolutely pertinent to the victory there. It reveals Lord Merc when he's in the final hour, and they completely turn it on. All you have to do is get one auto attack from Braum. When Vayne starts diving her backline, everybody instantly focuses Vayne. She gets stunned and is no longer effective in the fight.
Dream Killers. Killing the dreams of Industrious little by little, but Industrious doing well that fight. John the Greatest just having that little bit of a positional error that Hidden Shadow was able to capitalize on, and we saw the power of this Victor burst. The laser into the Q, into the auto attack. It's enough to remove all of John's health to the point where it's not that he's forced out of the fight, it's that he's forced into the grave. There's nothing John can do in that scenario, and he's going to have to be very mindful of where he is in relation to Victor in all these future fights.
We can see John is trying to counteract this. He realizes this keeps happening, so he's got a Crystal Embracer, which will build into Banshee's Veil to try to take off some of that initial poke, whether it's blocking a Death Ray that he might accidentally walk into, or Hidden Shadow just has been sniping with. Possibly stopping a full engage from Afro as well, or a lot of the harass coming out from 959. So Banshee's Veil will be a great pickup, but once it's down, I believe Hidden Shadow will be able to extort this possibility.
Dream Killers looking for their second Baron. They're going to be able to drop it down very, very quickly. So much Jinx damage on the Gangplank over the wall. If he dies, it's going to be catastrophic. So the Finns over the wall. It's going to be Final Spark looking to secure the Baron Nashor, but Gangplank steals it away. Dream Killers have their dreams killed. They're forced to walk away. No deaths in the fight. Industrious takes the objective off the back of a well-placed barrel. It's a barrel of fun, unless you're on the side of Dream Killers, who are now on their back feet.
I don't know if Wilson Jones missed the smite because it is off the cooldown, or they thought the laser would take it, but Baron went down to under 50 HP, and all of a sudden 90059 is like, hey, I'm a pirate. What do? I plunder things. Baron? Yeah, I want to plunder that. Let's go.
This has been Dream Killers in control for the past long time, and now they're not going to be able to do that anymore.
Is the Final Spark enough?
That's why not able to connect onto Victor. Gangplank now under a lot of pressure from Vi, but Vayne returning equal amounts of damage onto the enemy jungler. It's going to be Shen on top of the Nexus.
He teleported in! He's going for the back door
with the Nexus turret number 1. Victor responds. He gets back in time to defend it, but this is Dream Killers doing what they can do, seeing their options. Even when the enemy steals the Baron away, it's going to be Shen caught out. Now the damage from Vayne going to be more than enough to shred through the armor that he has, trying to take Zac out, but not able to find the damage.
Even though he got a tower, though, the amount of pressure relieved from the mid lane siege with the Baron minions is the most clutch aspect about Finn's play right there. He was able to divert 5 members of Industrious Gaming with Baron. It stopped the siege. Dream Killers doesn't lose anything but 1 death off that fight, and they get a Nexus turret from it.
Well played by the Finns. He may be at half of Gangplank's CS at this point in time, but damned if he's not doing his best to make sure that he's a huge factor in these fights. He's finding the taunts, he's finding the Stand Uniteds, and he's finding the Nexus turrets.
Alrighty, let's see if Wilson Jones can make an engage here while Industrious Gaming is split off from each other. They are trying to siege into the Baron, which would be difficult to do, especially with Finn's out of commission for another 5 seconds. He does have Stand United, however, but there's no objectives currently to fight over. Dragon still not up for another few minutes. Baron won't be up for another 4 or 5.
That's the problem here. If you are on Dream Killers, you've taken out all of the outer and inner turrets. The only ones left you can contest are those inhibitor turrets, which are much harder to take because of how much damage they can do. So there's not really a whole lot for them to try to take right now. They want to go for dragons, they want to go for barons, and then use that edge to push. Aspect will be the next dragon as Vi finds her way.
Oh, here comes the catch on the
able to drop that ultimate, but the Monsoon from Janna going to be able to keep her AD carry alive for the time being. Shen into the backdrop, the Finn on top of the enemy AD carry, but she will not go down. The rest of Dream Killers is here. The Final Spark comes out, but it will not connect onto anything of value. Zac now the focus from Jinx. John the Great is going to be able to bring him down, but the passive does proc. All the Bloblins are down. The Gangplank ult is there. It's going to be John dropping
the AoE.
The first one to fall onto the side of Dream Killers. The Victor Chaos Storm is in the background of everyone. Jinx having to run for her life now. Gangplank is in hot pursuit. Can John get away? It's going to be a Victor laser over the wall. Lux is shut down as Gangplank goes after Jinx into the top lane. John is
But look at Wilson Jones.
Is dropped. It's going to be Industrious Gaming taking over this fight. It's a 1-for-2 so far, and Victor's still alive. Vane's still alive, but the Finn
with the
changes that
juke
right quickly. Vane and not going to be able to survive. It's Jinx trying to fight the damage onto Victor. Vi, they managed to clean that one up, and once again, Dream Killers turns around a bad fight.
That was so scrappy at the end there. They're skirmishing like professionals right there, just juggling the aggro. A glorious laser from Hidden Shadow is able to snipe down Strathghost, gives him the first death of the game.
Dream Killers is moving on to the Nexus.
Pushing
Jake
from
is
bottom.
going to bring down that second Nexus turret. The Nexus is down to half. The minigun is shredding through this. Pow pow fishbones. Goodbye Nexus. And that's going to be a victory for Dream Killers. 44 minutes in.
Oh my lord. Even after Dream Killers bundled up in the choke point, we're sitting on top of the Chaos Storm, the Cannon Barrage, and the Death Lasers. They were able to make it out with just the skin of their teeth, turn the fight around at the last minute through solo plays, and then, using the supers they had set up in the bottom lane, were able to rotate, take the top turret, and get the Nexus off of a very mishap fight. Just turning on a dime, they clinched the victory. Dream Killers 1-0.
A close game throughout, lots of clutch moments. Dream Killers overall taking 3 different team fights that they lost at the outset and then turned it around as the team fight dragged itself out. Well played onto their squad, well played on Shen. If he hadn't have found that first Nexus turret when he did, they wouldn't have been able to end the game when they did. Overall, things worked out for Dream Killers. They had the cohesion, they had the planning, they had the teamwork, and now they've got the win.
Thank y'all for watching. We got one more game coming to y'all tonight. This is House Party 5v5 Season 4, Week 1 of our Premier League tournament.